I shot films like Jaane Bhi De Yaaro. I shot stills for films like Chashme Badur. I am Aditya Arya. I'm a photographer. Not only a photographer, I wear many hats. I practice vintage photographic processes. I'm an archivist. I study the history of photography. I collect cameras. I've been practicing for the last 38 years, and I started practicing in the film industry. The idea of Museo Camera started with when I was in college. I studied history. To me, the history of photography has always been very interesting. How did photography evolve? How did these cameras actually evolve? How did the aperture, the shutter, the mechanism, the film? Who thought about the film? Who created the first exposures? So, I created this museum out of my curiosity. I started visiting junk market, kabadi bazaars with my father way back in 60s. I was quite fascinated by the kind of cameras, and I saw the old stuff, and that curiosity kills the cat kind of a thing, and so let's pick up some, and that habit kept growing, and I was very fascinated by whenever I saw these old pieces. And I loved the craftsmanship and the beauty, the way they were crafted. And you look at the craftsmanship which has gone into, these are products before the industrial age and the mass productions happened. Many of them were handcrafted. So presently, since 2009, the museum is housed in the basement of my house, and it's open to public by appointment, because if I'm not around, if I'm traveling, or if nobody's around to explain the history of photography, we do curated walks for people to come and understand the history of photography, to see the amazing cameras. When did photography start? When was the first picture taken? 1839. But our collection starts from 1865 to 1870 onwards. We have between 1500 to 2000 odd cameras, and these are not only cameras, these are pieces, these are lenses, these are shutters, apertures. These are things which are markers of this technology. Everything is self-funded, and this is the result of my own drive. And things are very expensive. They're not easy to purchase. Everything is available today, but it's buying probably the first Rolls Royce ever made. Look at K20. K20 was actually made during the World War II. It was placed in the Bay of the Bombers and to shoot the bombing protocol, which was reconnaissance, dropping of the bombs, and then post-bombing assessment of destruction, the impact, whether the pilot and whether it was effective or not. So K20 was also used to document the famous Hiroshima and Nagasaki blast. Speed Graphic was made by a company called Graflex, which was subsidiary of Eastman Kodak. Speed Graphic is the most iconic camera ever made. It's a workhorse. If you know what an ambassador car was to the roads, Speed Graphic was to photography. It was the workhorse which was used by the studios, by the street photographers, by people who are doing scientific documentation. This is beginning of the century. It's very interesting when Margaret Book White came to India, and if you see Gandhi film, she's carrying a Speed Graphic. You know, I come from analog times when things were very difficult. Why? There were lots of ifs and buts. You had to know the technology, you had to understand the film, the exposure. Photo खींच ली, photo आएगी कि नहीं आएगी ये ऊपर वाला ही जानता था. Why? Something could go wrong with the camera while you're clicking. You will never get to know because film will get processed and come back to you after many days. Today, we are living in a world of imperfection. You know why? People don't think before clicking. They click first and then they see, no, okay, let me take 2 more pictures. Then, let me just take 5-6 more, बाद में देख लूँगा. You know, there was no बाद में देखना. Film was very expensive. So you had to create perfect pictures. Today, because of a 32 GB and a 64 GB card, life is very different. So here's another very special camera. It's called Tikka. It was made in 1907. Now what it does is, it looks like a watch. Actually, this is the lens and this is the viewfinder, and you look through this place and this is the shutter. This is the winding mechanism to move the film. Cameras have always been there and they'll continue to evolve. It's the only art form in the world which has a very deep link with the craft.